Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters. Yeah, I'm experimenting with the lighting today. I kind of like this better than what I just did with my Russian video. And I'm being lazy and leaving the same earrings on because Harley is sitting very comfortably on my lap and I did not want to disturb him. But today I want to talk about a topic that I kind of thought of during one of my weird insomniac nights, because sometimes my dogs wake me up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom because they sleep in my bed with me. So cute. And yeah, then they just wake me up and they're like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then I'm like, great. And then sometimes I can't fall asleep right away. So I had one of those where I started thinking about, like, what are some things I could record on. And today I want to talk about this idea that, people think that overachievers must have, like, great self-esteem and great self-worth because they've achieved so much, but I'm here to debunk that, and I actually want to talk about why I believe and why I would argue that people who are overachievers actually have very low self-worth, which is what drives them to achieve as much as they do. And you can Google this. This is not like, some novel discovery. Like, this is a pretty well-known thing. Because if you think about it, if I already think that I'm great, why would I feel the need to keep doing things and keep pushing forward and keep driving? Like, pushing myself more and more. In my opinion, I wouldn't. So I think that, being an overachiever for me for a long time was a way to get validation and praise from my dad in particular, because my dad was always very hard driving himself, and like I talked about yesterday, like with him being a bit of a workaholic, I think I looked at that example and I really wanted to be like him, so I kind of almost felt like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it, and maybe I'm gonna do it even better, which maybe sounds crazy, but I think that's part of where the impetus to work so much. Like, now I don't just work one job, I work two jobs, and I'm like constantly working. I'm working as much as I can possibly be working. I think that that comes from this sort of like need to show that I'm being productive, and I'm dedicating my life towards productivity, and I should be like respected for this. And this is not just me. This is like a very common thing in American culture. It's like, he who works the most can, it's like a badge of honor. Like, you can discuss that and be like, oh, well, I'm so busy. Oh, well, I work so much. And I don't like this. This is one of the things I hate about living in America, but it's one of the things that I have to engage in order to like fit in with this culture. So, and it's not like, I just talked in my Russian video about, like, I have two jobs I really don't mind. Like, I actually kind of like both of them in different ways. So it's not really like I mind working. And I almost, like, I was thinking about it because I went to go, like, hang out with some friends yesterday. And I'm like, this is, like, okay. But honestly, it's like, I probably feel the same way after this activity as I do after work. And the difference is I spent money versus I earned money. Because I go to the restaurant and I still talk to people. Okay, whatever. That's a bit of a side tangent. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, if I'm getting this sort of like dopamine hit each time I do something productive, I accomplish a task, I, go to work at the restaurant, I get paid, then that's going to keep encouraging me to keep doing that thing. So I think, though, the concept of overachieving and trying to exceed expectations, I started talking to my mom about, like, my dad thinks it's a little bit silly for me being so determined to buy a house. Then my mom is like, yeah, kind of, why do you need that? And all right, here's the honest part. Like, I do like to feel like I am, above average in terms of everything, right? Like, in terms of, achieving things, in terms of like grades, in terms of like, I mean, now I'm at a point where grades don't exist anymore. So it's like, what is going to make me feel better than most people? Well, most people can't own homes in the US anymore. So I'm like, what's going to make me feel better? I'm going to go own the home. And I mean, that's such a weird thing to think about, that like my sort of feeling of self-worth should ride on whether I own a home or not. But now that I know how hard of a thing it is to get, and like people are going to be like, oh wow, how'd you get that thing? I'm like, it makes me even more determined to get that thing. So, and again, like, I'm gonna openly admit that that is something that, like, the more reading you do on it does come from, like, not feeling good enough about yourself, which is confusing because I do try very hard to feel good about myself, and I try to be a nice person, but I always think of the story that I had when I was in Kyrgyzstan in 2017, and my host aunt was like, are you ready to go back to the US? And I was like, no. And she's like, why? I'm like, because it's harder to be a good person in the US. Like, when I was in Kyrgyzstan the first time, I brought like a bunch of random gifts to give away to people, and I was present for people. I was like giving people things. Like, I felt like I was able to be generous in a way that I can't here, because here it just feels like every man for himself. Like, you're out for yourself, just trying to survive. And there I wasn't like in that kind of like, rat race, like very narrow-minded headspace. And I feel like that made me me like a kinder, better person. And so when I think about like who I am here, and this was another video I wanted to do about like, you know, why who I am here is not the same person as who I was in Finland, or just in general when I'm abroad. It's like when I'm here, it's like, what do I have to do to fit in culturally? What do I need to do to survive? Work, work, work. You know, the economy is founded on that. The country's founded on that. The culture is founded on that. It's just, you know, it's what people feel like they have to do. You have to push as hard as you can, drive as hard as you can. And in one respect, that's not always bad. But at the same time, I think it's not always good either when it's to the detriment of your health, which I don't feel like I have that problem because I still exercise regularly and I don't think I eat badly, in my opinion. Other people can think whatever they want about that. I don't care. And then, you know, your relationships, you know, your stress levels. Like, I feel like the thing that's causing me the most stress right now is like my housing stuff. But other than that, like, I don't feel a lot of stress from either of my jobs. I feel like I felt more stress when I was like studying because like the grades and, you know, you pay for school, whereas now I get paid. It's great. And I feel like I don't have to try as hard as I did when I was in school. Honestly, that is something to be grateful for. But yeah, so it's like, you know, now that I keep saying that I'm out of school and it's like there's no longer like grades and a GPA and me trying to like have a perfect GPA, which I did not have, by the way. I tried, but I did not have one. It's like, what's next? And it's like a house and things that require capital, like a house. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I feel like I just kind of am fixated on the house thing. But yeah, it's just, you know, why would I need to keep achieving if I could just be content? Like, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I think the thing that needs to be understood is that overachievers are seldom content with whatever they've already achieved, which is what drives them to keep achieving. So it's like this never-ending feedback loop of you feel good about yourself for like 2.5 seconds and then you immediately forget what you felt good about yourself for and you're chasing the next thing to get that hit again. And you know, it's kind of like a drug addict thing. That's what I was talking about with like the workaholic thing. Like, it is like an addiction like anything else. That's why there's an aholic at the end of it. So you can kind of think of it as an overachiever holic, a holic, whatever. Like, it is a sort of like thing that the person just keeps chasing. And I feel like because I am this way, sometimes I like being around other people who are this way because it's like there's like a mutual understanding of like that's just what you're motivated by and driven by, is like the constant, you know, feedback that you get when you reach the next accomplishment. Which, you know, is that a better or worse way to live than like my brother who just enjoys all of his free time sitting around watching anime? You know, I don't think that's for me or for anybody else to judge. I think at the end of the day, you have to live a life that you like. And when I think about, you know, am I happy and do I like my lifestyle? Like, honestly, yeah, because I think my lifestyle has afforded me the opportunity to be able to travel the world, see new things, learn new things, meet the stimulation threshold that my brain, I realize now, probably has, since I'm like ADHD and I'm constantly like, wow. And, but yeah, so I don't know. But what is my whole point with this? I want to debunk this, and kind of maybe by sharing a little bit about my own experience with overachieving, it can kind of help. You know, and I think going back to what I talked about yesterday in the workaholic video, it's just, you know, overachieving is something I've always had control over. You know, I don't have control over the life circumstances I've been dealt, the hand I've been dealt, whatever, but I do have control over achieving all the things that I've achieved, and I believe that I can have anything I want if I work hard enough. You know, that is something that the American dream is founded on, and that's something I do subscribe to, and something that maybe has led me to getting all the things that I've had. So, you know, like I always say, yeah, good and bad things. Pick your set of problems. There's always problems. So, you know, one of the problems in the US is I feel like I'm a little bit too hyper-focused on overachieving. It's like one of the things I liked about Finland, kind of helped me dial back on that. You know, but at the same time, I had different issues like with relationships in Finland because I just wasn't used to dedicating as much time and mental resources to it. And probably also some of my neurodiversity stuff going on that makes relationships harder, but whatever, it's how it is. So, I don't know. Next time you see an overachiever, don't be jealous of them. Just think they probably don't feel great about themselves. And maybe that's helpful, maybe it's not, but that's all I have to say today. Alright, so until my next video, bye.